The year is 2008. Player 3 releases Run, a simple but unique Flash game. Its gravity switching mechanic and level structure made it stand out from your typical endless runner. Then, in 2011, came Run 2. Now there were two playable characters who both controlled differently, and the levels were made up of three-dimensional blocks. The game felt better to control and looked nicer overall compared to the first game. But now, I think it's about time to do the thing I promised over a year ago now, and finally talk about the third installment in the Run trilogy, and see how it stacks up against its predecessors. The Run series means a lot to me, because nostalgia of course, but also because it was what began my Flash game reviews series. And as much as I kinda wanted to keep joking about this video never happening, I think now's the time to just finally do it. Run 3 was developed by Player 3, and the Flash version was originally published to Congregate on June 5th, 2014. There are actually three versions of this game: the Flash version, the currently still in beta HTML5 version, and the mobile port. I'll cover all of them in this video, but I'll be starting with and mainly focusing on the Flash version, on Congregate specifically, since it's the first and most complete one. Although the game was originally released in 2014, it's still being supported with new updates, and isn't actually finished yet, but I'll get to that later. Let's begin with Run 3's main attraction, Explore Mode. This is essentially the game's story mode, and yes, I say story mode because there actually is a storyline this time, which I'll talk about in depth soon. The controls are pretty much exactly the same as the previous installments. Use the arrow keys or WASD to move left and right, and spacebar or up arrow key to jump. Personally, I use the tried and true arrow keys and spacebar combo, but hooray for options. The controls are great. You really feel like you have complete control over your character's movement. It feels much more smooth than the first two games. The gameplay and primary goal of the game remains largely the same as the previous installments. You run forward automatically and must make your way to the end of each level, but in general, everything in Run 3 just feels much smoother compared to its predecessors, from switching gravity to level transitions. I love how seamless the level transitions are. You don't have to press anything to continue to the next level and wait for a countdown. The name of the level just flashes on screen and you keep running. One small detail that really makes a difference is that the characters now have a drop shadow, making it way easier to judge where you're gonna land. On the pause screen, you can switch characters quickly at any time, which is super convenient. You can move back and forth between levels, or access the galaxy map, and of course there's the standard sound, music, and quality settings. There's even a link to the page for the level you're on the Run wiki, which usually has helpful tips for beating the level. The level structure seems to be a callback to that of the first game. Gone are the three-dimensional platforms of Run 2, instead returning to the tunnel design. Don't take that the wrong way, this is not a downgrade. The tunnels come in different shapes and sizes instead of always being square, which provides some neat variety, and the level design is better than ever. The three-dimensional blocks aren't completely gone though, as many levels include boxes, which act very similar. There are a variety of new tile types not found in the first two installments, one of which are crumbling tiles. These are pretty much exactly what they sound like, crumbly bits that crumble and fall if you step on them. If a falling crumbling tile is adjacent to another one, that one will also fall, leading to huge and sometimes laggy falling tile cascades. Ramps are also fairly self-explanatory. They make you go up, and ice tiles increase speed but reduce traction. At first, it seems as though Run 3 is mostly linear like the first two games, but as you make your way through the 65-level long main tunnel, you'll discover other side tunnels that branch off of it. These are marked on the galaxy map, which serves as a level select screen for Explore Mode. The game really opens up here. You can explore the side tunnels in basically any order you want, and many of these side tunnels branch off into even more tunnels. The bonuses from Run 2 have been removed, but with how many levels there are... yeah, that's a good thing. This game is big. There's an insane amount of content for a Flash game right now, and remember, it's not even finished yet. There are currently over 300 levels in Explore Mode, not to mention the story and all the other modes. Oh yeah, speaking of the story, after beating certain levels in Explore Mode, cutscenes will play. These are the main place in which the game's story is told, and they play out in a similar manner to a comic, with the characters' dialogue and speech bubbles, and you click to go to the next frame. These can be rewatched at any time from the cutscene gallery on the main menu. At first, I wasn't a big fan of this game's story. I don't know, the way the cutscenes were presented felt a bit low effort and awkward. But as I continued to play, the story really grew on me. The storyline is actually fairly integral to the game, especially towards the end, and in general I think it adds a lot to the game as a whole. You can't have a story without characters, and Run 3 doesn't mess around in this regard. There are 10 playable characters, each with their own unique abilities, playstyles, and personalities. Yes, really. The runner and skater are both back, playing just like they did before, in addition to 8 brand new characters. Some characters even have alternate costumes, but unlike the ones in Run 1, these actually do change how the characters play. I'll talk about these as we get to their respective characters. You can unlock characters and costumes by either progressing in Explore mode, or simply buying them at the shop with Power Cells, an in-game currency primarily earned through Infinite mode. A few of these characters are actually based on the costumes from the original Run game. The basic gist of the plot is that the characters all leave the planet to explore the tunnels, they meet each other, stuff happens, the planet disappears, friendships and rivalries ensue. I'll talk about the story more while going over each character individually. The character you start with is, of course, the Runner. She's also known as the Cartographer, as her main goal is to explore the tunnels and create a map of them. Gameplay-wise, she's the most well-rounded character in the game, with no special abilities, glaring flaws, or major strengths. Despite the fact that the Runner is the most basic character available, I found myself playing as her the most. In terms of costumes, the Runner has the Skier, who moves faster but is more slippery, and the Jack-o'-lantern, who has a higher jump. After level 10, the first cutscene plays, where the Runner meets the Skater. Then there's a Subspace Emissary moment, and you choose your character to continue with. The Skater is all about going fast. He plays like in Run 2, being faster than the Runner but harder to control. He enjoys challenging himself, and this trait is actually incorporated into his gameplay, as if you fail a level over and over, he'll actually start to skate faster. The Skater has a costume, the Ice Skater, which gives him better maneuverability on ice. The next character, unlocked after finishing level 40, is the Lizard, who runs slowly but has a much higher jump. The Lizard is probably the character with the least importance to the plot, mostly since it can't talk. Sure, the next character, the Bunny, can't speak either, but the Bunny appears in more major cutscenes and interacts more with the child. Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Back to the Lizard. Its main trait is its laziness. In fact, it actually has the polar opposite of the Skater's hidden ability, where if it fails a level over and over, it will get slower, and eventually it'll just give up and go to sleep. Like, you actually can't use it unless you wait for it to wake up or repeatedly click on it. That's a really fun little Easter egg. Next up, the Bunny is unlocked for getting 8 achievements, or simply through the shop for 2,000 power cells. The Bunny's main gimmick is that it's constantly hopping, and because of that, it handles differently than the other characters. But once you get the hang of it, bouncing around is actually pretty fun, and the Bunny can reach crazy speeds and heights. Unlocked after beating the low power tunnel, or with 2,000 power cells, is the Child. He holds a balloon all the time, so of course he has a much floatier jump, but his light weight allows him to run on crumbling tiles without breaking them. He likes to sneak around and spy on others, so he often appears hidden in the background in many cutscenes. The Child also has a costume, the Ghost, which oddly enough is just a costume, as this is the only one that doesn't change the character's stats. Also playable is the Child's father, the Duplicator. He can be bought with 6,000 power cells, and has the ability to create copies of himself to run alongside him. If the Duplicator falls out of the tunnel, he will switch places with the duplicate, giving you another chance. You can also jump off of duplicates to gain some extra height. The Duplicator is one of the most memorable characters in terms of the story because he's a full-blown conspiracy theorist. He believes everyone is involved in a conspiracy against him, and often jumps to conclusions and accusations. Unlocked with 2,000 power cells, the Gentleman is known for his verbose vocabulary. Using the electromagnet he attached to his hat, he can be pulled in the direction of power cells when you press space. This makes him a good choice for Infinite mode once you get the hang of his controls. Although power cells don't usually spawn in Explore mode, they actually will if you use the Gentleman, albeit much less frequently than in Infinite. The most expensive character, the Angel, can be bought for 12,000 power cells. The Angel, ironically, is the most arrogant and egotistical character in the game. He's just a complete jerk to everyone, and it's kinda hilarious. The Angel sort of acts as a foil to the Runner. They're both leaders of their respective groups, but have opposite goals. The Angel wants to return to the planet, while the Runner wants to continue exploring the tunnels. His ability is an air dash, activated by pressing space in midair. It sorta kinda acts like a double jump, but not as good as Run 2's. A new universal movement option in Run 3 is that if you jump outside the tunnel, you'll enter a sort of freefall mode where you maintain your momentum, which can lead to some I bring this up now because combined with the Angel's air dash, you can pull off some Next, unlocked with 6,000 power cells, is the Pastafarian. She's a priest for the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. Yes, that just came out of my mouth. To quote her in-game description, her faith in the Flying Spaghetti Monster allows her to run across empty space. You can't make this stuff up. She, or according to her, the Flying Spaghetti Monster, creates light bridges, which extend from tiles, allowing her to run on what would usually be empty space. The Pastafarian also has a costume, the Pirate, who has better maneuverability but weaker light bridges. And last but certainly not least, the Student. Unlocked with 10,000 power cells, the Student is probably my favorite character, both in terms of the story and especially her gameplay. If you press space in midair, gravity will press the upside down button and you'll start heading towards the ceiling. That's cool, but what really makes the Student amazing is that you can release space and fall back, basically giving giving you insane hovering abilities. These jumps are super satisfying to pull off. Unlike with a child, you have complete control over how long you hover. With regards to personality, she's independent and has a passion for learning. So yeah, Run 3 has a memorable and fun cast of characters. Here's my tier list, though I kinda wish the actual character designs had a bit more variety. Most of them are pretty much all the same base model, just with different clothes or the like. But I think the characters are distinct enough based on their personalities and playstyles alone. Oh yeah, one thing I really like is that there are ways to play as characters you haven't unlocked yet, as certain tunnels can only be played with specific characters. For example, the Duplicator in The Way Back, Pastafarian in the Coordination Challenge, and the Angel and Student have their own mini-games. Speaking of those, while most of the cutscenes can be seen by just playing through the tunnels, some are contained in the 2 mini-games. Well, the wiki calls them mini-games, but they're kinda more like side quests, which task you with certain characters with slightly different objectives. These can be accessed from the galaxy map, and are known as Angel Missions and Bridge Building, respectively. The Angel Missions follow the Angel as he tries to find the other characters to convince them to return home to the planet. This is accessed via the Going Home checklist on the galaxy map. Here you can choose which character to search for, with degrading nicknames courtesy of the Angel. Choosing one puts you in a series of selected levels in a different order, some of which have a few differences, like playing through them backwards or with some crumbling tiles missing, but it's not like you'd really notice these differences since the individual levels are not that memorable alone. Completing the Angel missions unlocks The Way Back, which branches off into more tunnels that show the story of the Angels group trying to return home. Each of the parts of the Angel mission vary in length, but they still have the same general goal as the regular Explore mode gameplay, just to get to the end of each tunnel. That's where Bridge Building comes in, which has you as the student pushing boxes through the levels in order to, go figure, build a bridge to the end tunnel. You have to push the box at the exit before finishing the level. If you don't, you're forced to try again. Honestly, this one's kinda tedious. If it weren't for the student's great ability and controls, I'd be complaining a whole lot more, but as it is, it's still a bit annoying. You can only push the box directly from the front, and since you're always moving forward, missing the box is really frustrating. And sometimes it's hard to distinguish the box you're supposed to push from all the other boxes. It's cool that there's a mode with a different objective, I guess, but it just doesn't work that well. Run works much better with the only goal being simply getting to the end of each level. Beating Bridge Building unlocks the end tunnel, which branches off into tunnels leading towards the Wormhole. Oh, I haven't mentioned the Wormhole, probably because there's not much to mention about it as of now. The runners group is traveling towards it, but the levels end there. We're still waiting for more levels and story to be added in an update. Same with the Angels group and the planet. The story isn't finished yet, but as it is right now, there's a lot of neat stuff here. The dialogue gave me some laughs, there's some interesting topics I didn't expect Run of all games to tackle, and I'm really interested to see where this adventure takes us in the future. Run isn't really the kind of game you'd expect to have a story, but it works surprisingly well. Obviously, it's not the greatest work of fiction by any means, but I think that, overall, it adds a lot to the game. Wow, I spent a lot of time talking about the story and characters and stuff. Hey, did you know this game has graphics? They're kinda what you'd expect mostly, everything looks great for what the game is. With the first 2 games, it always felt like there was some manner of trickery afoot to pull off the 3D perspective, but Run 3 really feels like a full-on 3D game. It's pretty impressive for Flash standards. There are a few moments in cutscenes where the camera actually moves, and it looks pretty cool. A really neat detail is that you can actually see other tunnels as you pass by them. But with Run 3's visuals, it's less about the actual graphics, and more how smooth it is. Run 3 usually runs, pun unintended, at a smooth 60 frames per second, but there are some things that slow it down, like large amounts of crumbling tiles and the Pastafarian's bridges. This video doesn't do it justice. I had to record at 30 FPS because if I tried to record at 60, my computer would probably explode, but trust me, it looks and feels great. But what really steals the show in terms of presentation is the music. The music. Oh my god, the music! Where do I even start? The soundtrack is pure bliss. This 7-hit wonder of an OST basically took Run and Run 2's music and upgraded it 1,000-fold. Composed by Jesse Valentine, also known as F777, Run 3 is full of great tracks that fit the game incredibly well. I legitimately can't pick a favorite. All of them are almost equally incredible. Despite the fact that there are only 7 tracks and this game is rather long for Flash game standards, I never got tired of the music. I feel bad for all the people who only played this game on Cool Math at school and never got to hear the music. I cannot emphasize enough how great the music is. It really makes you feel energized and motivated to keep trying at each level. Thank you, Jesse Valentine. You legend. Infinite mode is back from Run 1, but instead of randomly generated levels, you play through a series of pre-made levels in a random order. This is a full-on play until you lose mode, and it's one of the main places to obtain power cells, or batteries as the student insists we call them, a form of in-game currency that can be used at the shop. If you die, you get the option to continue your run as another character for a fee of 10 power cells initially, but this price increases as you use more respawns. If you don't continue, you get a results screen showing how far you ran, how many power cells you collected, a leaderboard of your past scores, and a piece of trivia about the character character you played as. As mentioned previously, the Gentleman is probably the best character for getting power cells in Infinite mode once you get the hang of his controls. There are also some annual holiday events in Infinite mode. The Easter one just so happened to happen while I was making this video, which makes the power cells look like Easter eggs. Overall, Infinite mode is better than ever. The power cells give you an incentive to actually play Infinite mode, and the fact that the levels aren't randomly generated means that, while the mode may be a bit more repetitive, the levels were actually designed by a human being, meaning they're more interesting and fun than in the first game. The other main way to earn power cells is through achievements, of which there are currently 92. Unlocking an achievement will award you with a set amount of power cells, with more difficult achievements generally giving more cells. When playing on a level that has an achievement, a progress bar and message will appear telling you the task of the achievement. There are also Infinite mode achievements. Unlike with Explore mode achievements, these can be achieved multiple times, though after the first time the power cell reward will decrease. Achievements are a cool addition, they add some replay value for completionists, and like any good game, some of the achievement titles contain slightly outdated pop culture references. At the shop, you can use power cells to buy the previously mentioned characters and costumes, as well as upgrades for Infinite mode, like reducing respawn costs, finding more boxes, or making power cells spawn in boxes. Oh yeah, this game is microtransactions. Except they're completely out of the way and optional and only for getting extra power cells. Yeah, it may seem a bit off-putting to some people that you can buy power cells, at least in the Congregate version, using creds, but I don't really mind it. Like I said, they're completely non-intrusive. Oh, and there's one last thing that can be bought from the shop that I haven't mentioned yet, the level editor. Yeah, not sure why it has to be bought for 500 power cells, but whatever, it's back and better than ever. You start by selecting the number of sides in your tunnel and how many tiles will be on each side. The maximum number of sides is 30, which would be contagon? I'm no geometryologist, it's effectively a circle. The amount of tiles each side can have is inversely proportional to how many sides there are. Like I said before, the different tunnel shapes and sizes really add a lot of much welcomed variety. The editor has some cool new features and is a lot smoother and easier to use when compared to previous installments. Like, you can easily move around your level using the arrow keys, there are zoom tools to see your tunnel from different angles, you assign objects to hotkeys, which is really convenient, you have access to pretty much every asset used in the main game, as well as bouncy tiles, which are currently exclusive to the editor. You can have 2 different colored tiles, there's a move tool so you can easily move groups of tiles, you can set the starting point, you can choose the music, you can test your level at any time as any character, and it even shows a helpful trail of your movements when you return to the editor. You can even string multiple levels together to make your own tunnel. This is really cool, to say the least. And like always, you can upload your individual levels or level sets on Congregate and play other users' creations as well. While I personally haven't used the level editor that much, I can safely say that it is really good. Also, obligatory jab at Duck Life 2's level editor goes here. Well, that's pretty much it for the Flash version, but there are 2 more versions of the game to cover, starting with... As Flash is getting closer and closer to its inevitable demise, many developers have tried to escape the sinking Flash ship by porting their games to mobile devices. Yes, mobile games. Whether you like him or hate him, you know where this is going. Congregate decided it would be a good idea to port Run 3 to mobile devices, so, they did. And while I don't, need to talk about this port, I like to be as comprehensive as possible in my reviews, so here we are. The mobile port was released as a free download on Android and iOS on, well, the Run Wiki actually says that it came out before the Flash version, on December 11th, 2013, but I couldn't find a source or any proof of this. Amazon says it was released on June 19th, 2014, which seems a little more believable, but really who the heck knows. Future Sean here, and I the heck knows! The Run Wiki page was updated with a screenshot proving that it actually did release 7 months before the web version. I still find that kinda hard to believe, but as far as we know, December 11th, 2013 is the correct release date. Interestingly, the App Store and Google Play pages for this game feature art of a caveman and zombie character, both of which were costumes in Run 1 that never became full characters in Run 3. Apparently these 2 were originally planned to be in 3, but were scrapped as it would be difficult to incorporate them into the story. The first thing to note about this port is that it's actually just called Run, not Run 3 for some reason. The wiki calls it Run Mobile to avoid confusion, so I'll do that as well. Run Mobile displays in widescreen, assuming that you're using a widescreen device, and it looks really nice. And it runs really well too, frame rate and stability wise. Most features from the Flash version are here and accounted for, but there are a few absences, most notably the level editor and a few of the later side tunnels. There are 3 control options to choose from: swipe sideways, on-screen buttons, or tilt controls. With swipe sideways, the swipe bar disappears after starting, so it becomes more difficult to control. Tilt controls lets you adjust the sensitivity and combine it with the other options, but either way it doesn't work that well, so I just stick to the on-screen button controls. Each of these control methods work fine, I guess. It's nice to have options, but none of them are nearly as good as the keyboard controls of the web versions. There's not that much to talk about with Run Mobile. It's pretty much the same game, but on mobile. Although the controls are more comfortable on the web version, Run Mobile is a pretty good port. There's really not that much wrong with it.
Reach for the stars in this all-new, thrilling adventure. Bingo Journey. Collect journey stars to unlock cities on your map. Progress further when you complete the milestone.
As is standard for free mobile games, you have to watch an ad every couple levels or so. Yeah, the Flash version of course has ads on the side of the screen, outside the game window, because it's a free web game, that's how they make money, but at least those don't force you to watch a 15 to 30 second ad every 5 minutes. I'm not one to hate on something just for having ads, it's a necessary evil after all, but if you've been anywhere near a YouTube for the past year or 3, you'd know that mobile game ads are... well, they're no Cowboy Jet, that's for sure. Oh, but of course you can get rid of the ads by buying power cells with real money. And the fact that the power cell prices are displayed in not wacky gamer doubloons, but real, genuine United States cash monies just kind of makes it feel a bit more... bleh. Oh, and there's also some BS offers where you can unlock the Duplicator, Pastafarian, and Gentleman for free by downloading other completely unrelated to Congregate mobile games and playing them for a ridiculous amount of time. Oh, and the characters unlocked with these offers cost significantly more power cells than in the web version. What a coincidence. Run Mobile is a competent port that falls victim to the typical mobile game trappings of constant ads, microtransactions, and stupid offers to get free stuff. Sure, the Flash version also has this unholy trinity, but they are way less intrusive than in the mobile port. I really wish this port just cost money. I'd gladly pay like $2 or $3 for this without the ads, microtransactions, and dumb offers. But that still leaves the issue of controls, which isn't that bad, but still. I'd say unless you really want to play Run 3 on the toilet or something, just stick to the web version. Or should I say, web versions, as there's also the HTML5 version. Codenamed Runaway 3D, this version is being made to allow Run 3 to be playable in browsers after Flash Player support has ended. Keep in mind that this version is still in beta, so unfortunately right now it's quite unstable, laggy, and missing some features. It's not unbearable or anything, but it's noticeably more buggy and slow than the other two versions. As of when I'm making this video, the beta is only available on Player 3's website, Pokey, and everyone's favorite, Cool Math Games. Again, most features from the Flash version are present, but there are more missing than in the mobile version. The level editor has yet to be added, angel missions and bridge building haven't been implemented, and the Pastafarian isn't playable yet. Oh, and I didn't get the chance to test this, but apparently the graphics for the seasonal events in Infinite Mode aren't present, so if you try to play Infinite Mode during Halloween, Christmas, or Easter, the game will just crash. And I found that kind of funny. One seemingly random distinction between the HTML5 and Flash versions is that the tiles have rounded edges in HTML. Another one, the boxes have an outline matching the color of the tunnel. There's also an experimental new shop upgrade in this version that allows you to balance and run on the edges of tiles. This can lead to some cool movement options, but it's pretty tough to actually find places to use it, and it can only be used by certain characters. It's clear that Runaway is still in beta. It will improve over time. With more polish, eventually this could work as an effective replacement for the Flash version. And I'm really glad that Player is taking care to make sure that this game is playable in browsers for many years to come. And speaking of that, let's talk about the future of Run 3. As I've mentioned a few times before, this game is not finished. As of when I'm writing /recording /editing /uploading this video, the story doesn't have an ending and there are more levels and new side tunnels to be added in the future. Currently, the last cutscene is about the child wanting to build a spaceship to return to the planet. And despite the fact that there hasn't been an update since August 2018, we know Player is making progress on the game, as he's actually been live streaming development of the game on YouTube. And from these, we can see Player has some really cool things planned for the future. He does a variety of things in these streams, debugging Runaway, making cutscenes, art, fan suggestions from the wiki, even 3D modeling for Run 3. Yeah, eventually he's planning on fully replacing the sprite sheets with 3D models of the characters, and I'm still not entirely sure about this change. It just seems kinda weird that this huge change is going to happen after the game has been out for 6 years, but I understand how it can make development quicker in the long run, and the practice models made so far look pretty good. It's really cool to see Player interacting with the fans and being so open about the game's development. As of when I'm making this video, Player streams pretty consistently, and I recommend giving them a look if you're interested in seeing how development is coming along, or just want to see some cool behind the scenes stuff. Long story short, there's a lot of really cool looking stuff coming up. Like, wow, this is the same game? I don't know, when I first played this game a while ago and never actually finished it, it never occurred to me that it was just getting started. It's just really neat to see Run 3 still getting supported with updates. Kinda. The future's looking bright for this game, and personally, I'm really looking forward to what forthcoming updates bring to the table. And that is Run 3. Wow, what a game. Fun, unique gameplay, in-depth story, ridiculous amounts of content, memorable characters, a bangin' soundtrack. This game really has it all. Run 3 is one of the most content-packed web games I've ever played, and again, let me reiterate that it's not even finished yet. It's easily the best in the series. It improves on everything from the previous installments, and even makes them seem lacking in comparison. I can't stress enough how impressive this game's 3D visuals and sheer amount of content is for a free web game. It's not often you come across such a fleshed out game running on a browser. Believe it or not, I could talk about this game for even longer. There's just so much to it, but I don't want to completely ruin your experience. Just go play it for yourself, it's really good. If it wasn't clear already, I would wholeheartedly recommend the Flash version. If you're watching this in the bad future and Flash is discontinued, then hopefully the HTML version is better than it is now. I know I complained about the mobile version a lot, but honestly, paying $1.99 to get rid of the ads would probably be a good deal if you can put up with the lesser controls. I digress, all three versions are good, but go for the Flash one if you can. Although, future updates after the Flash shutdown will probably only release on the HTML5 and mobile version, so... Okay, this is going on too long. Just go play Run 3. It's easily one of the best browser games out there. To put it simply, Run 3 is great, and I'm sure it's going to become even greater in the future.